the resources that we look at today, you're also going to be able to find in Britannica School. So if you want to use Britannica School instead, some of the verbiage is different, but the content is the same for the most part. So it's really up to you. But today we're looking at Britannica Library for homeschoolers. My name is Jennifer Keating. There is my contact information. So if you have any questions for me, you can feel free to reach out and email me directly, and I will help you out any way that I can. It's just jkeating@eb.com. We're actually located right here in Chicago, so we are not far from you at all. So if you have any questions, just let me know. And a little bit about Britannica Library before we jump in. There are actually 3 separate levels to Britannica Library. There is a children's, young adults, and general reference. Users can go across all 3 levels at any time. You're not locked into any one level. And it's really nice, especially if you're a group of parents who are homeschooling. Students can go in any level that they feel most comfortable with. So if you've got a 5th grader and they're reading at a 9th grade reading level, they can go into that young adult section. It's totally fine. So I really like that is in place for those users. Across those 3 levels, we have over 145,000 Encyclopedia Britannica articles. In addition to those articles, we have journals, magazines, some other, we've got primary source documents, things like that. There are adjustable reading levels in those articles as well. So if a student is reading at one level and decides that maybe they need more content, they need to be looking at a higher reading level of that, of that same topic, they can actually switch the level from right inside that article. And conversely, if a student is struggling with the text, they can also switch down to a lower level if they need to. And again, that's all within the article itself. And like I said earlier, students can go all over the interface, so it's no problem. There are downloadable photos and videos as well. Any of our multimedia pieces are downloadable. We encourage you and your students to utilize those in your lesson planning, in your unit planning, whatever you're talking about for the day. And then for those students, when they're pulling together projects and working on different research topics, any of those multimedia pieces can be downloaded and used. So we'll look at those today as well. At the young adult level and the general reference level, we have primary source documents built into the search results. So if that's something you're talking about with your students, or you want to get some, the text of actual historical documents into your students' hands, that's a collection that we have that you can use. We have article tools that will enhance reading and comprehension. So especially if you maybe have younger students and they're really just kind of emerging readers, we've got some really supportive tools for those students. And really any students who maybe just need a little extra help, or they just maybe want some extra help, we've got some tools built in the articles that they can take advantage of. There's a read aloud feature in every article, as well as the Google Translate feature in every article as well. There's a World Atlas, which I love. It's one of my favorites. I won't get a chance to talk about it today, but if you have some time on your own, I definitely recommend taking a look at it, and I'll point that out to you so you can see what that looks like. And there's also a built-in Merriam-Webster dictionary as well. Of course, you can access all these resources from home, as well as the public library, anywhere you're at in Wisconsin. And of course, there are some other tools in here that we'll take a look at. So I'm going to exit this. I'm going to exit my deck here, and I'm going to start here at the Badger Link homepage. And to log into Badger Link, click on the login button over in the top right corner. And then you'll come to this page and you'll be asked to select your town and the library that you or school district that you are associated with. And then down here, you can also log in with your zip code. So when you click on that, it should take you right into this resources page. And there are a couple of different ways you can access the resources here in Badger Link. First of all, we've got this little format drop-down menu. So whatever type of content you're looking for, you can browse here. Different subject areas that you can browse. Different audience types, which I really appreciate that is a selection there. And also you can browse by different content providers. It actually is a really nice way to be able to look through and see what kinds of resources you have. There's also a little alphabetical list down here. So if you want to just look at the Britannica resources, just click on B. And you'll find all those Britannica resources that start to pop up. Britannica Escolar, Fundamentals, Britannica Library. Down here, as I mentioned earlier, we have Britannica School, which you have access to as well. So Britannica School and Britannica Library have pretty much identical interface with a couple of differences. So if you want to use Britannica School, feel free to do that. But we are going to look at Britannica Library today. And here is the home page for Britannica Library. You can see across the bottom, Children, Young Adults, and Reference Center. I also want to point out, you'll notice this little logo right here. If you click on that Badger Link logo, that will always take you back to Badger Link. So if you ever need to get out of here and go back to Badger Link real quickly, just click on that little logo. And today we're going to kick it off at the children's level, and then we're also going to look at young adults and the general reference level as well. So here's the children's level. Now this is designed for, traditional grades K through 5. Of course, if your students are kind of outside of that range, you can utilize any of the levels that you want. And we're going to take a look at some of these tools. First, I want to go into the search box though. I want to plug in a search for the term dog. And I always recommend running your search and then clicking on this magnifying glass, because then that takes you into the search results page. And everything you can find about dogs and Encyclopedia Britannica Library Edition, you'll be able to access from this page. You can see at the top, we've got these 3 level tabs. So level 1 will be the children's section, level 2 will be young adults, and then level 3 will be the general reference section. So you can kind of search across all 3 levels to see what content is out there across all 3 levels. So instead of having to run 3 separate home page searches, you can just run one and see what's available. On the left-hand side are all the different types of content that you have access to. So we have, of course, Encyclopedia Britannica articles, but you have some additional content as well. We've got a great multimedia collection. So let's take a look at some of the images we have here. And any of the images that you see, if you like it, you can click on it. I love this image of these 4 dogs. Look like they're up to no good. If you find an image that you like, you can right-click in that image and just save that image to your computer's desktop. If you're on a tablet or an iPhone, something like that, you can hold your finger on that image and it will save that image to the camera roll of your device. So that's a couple different ways you can save the image. If you go over here to this little print icon, in the destination box, you can see that you can save this image as a PDF, or you can save it directly to your Google Drive. So if either of those options is appealing to you, by all means, take advantage of it. A couple of other tools we have over here on the right-hand side. You can email this out to any other Britannica user. This checkbox will give you the citation information for that image, which of course is so important when students are citing their research and citing their work, that they're citing the information correctly. You can see at the bottom there's a little drop-down menu. Just select your citation style, copy that, and drop it into your works cited page. Below that checkbox, we've got the direct link for this image. So let's say you maybe want to hyperlink some text, or your student wants to put this, wants to link this into a PowerPoint presentation or something, or even into a website. That's the direct link that you would use. Below that, we've got the Google Classroom icon. So if you want to drop that into your Google Classroom account, you can. And we also have the Microsoft Teams icon there as well. So you can utilize this with Microsoft Teams. And these tools you'll find in every image here in Britannica Library. We also have a nice collection of videos as well. Same idea, we encourage you and your students to take advantage of these videos to utilize them. So you can see here, you can actually stream the videos. And then as the video is streaming or playing, you can see the text or the narration is below the video as well. So if you've got, you want your students, maybe have students who are visually impaired, or whatever, or hearing impaired, they can take advantage of this. Maybe you just want your students to read the text, they can kind of get that practice in, whatever the case may be. You can also download these videos. There's the download file. You can download it to your computer. And then over here again on the right, you can email, find the automatic citation for this video, find the direct link for this video, and then also there's the Google Classrooms icon for this video as well. We also have the Merriam-Webster dictionary built right in. I love this. Your students can always go and run a search on any topic and look it up right in the middle of doing some research. They can go ahead and run that search. They don't need to wait to find a paper dictionary, or they don't need to go to a different website. They can do it from right here. And there's even a little pronunciation key. So students, if they are looking up a brand new word, they can also see the correct pronunciation of that word as well. It's a great way to really get that word into that student's vocabulary. And we also have journals and magazines courtesy of EBSCO here as well. So again, just another collection of text that you can share with your students. But let's go into the article here, level 1. Again, I want that children's level article about the domesticated dog. And one of the things I really like here, first of all, we can see they made it very bright and colorful. We want to hold on to our students' attention, right? Especially our younger students. What I really like that they've done here is they've chunked the information so that as students are reading through the text, instead of looking at one big block of text, they can actually attack that text kind of at their own pace in more bite-sized chunks. So I really appreciate that that is in place. You'll also notice a little kind of a play button right here. And if you click on that, a voice will read that text out loud. So students can sit back and hear the text being read out loud. They can follow along as it's being read out loud. It's also every word is also being highlighted. Or I should say that every sentence is being highlighted as well. So again, students can track that way too. And then up here, this is one of my favorites. We'll take another look at this in a few minutes. But this allows users to change their reading level. So especially if you're working with maybe an 8, 9, or 10-year-old, and they're sort of growing out of this interface, they're growing out of this reading level. If they want to, they can click on that number 2, and it will take them into the young adults version of that article. So of course, the young adults version is going to be longer. It's going to have more vocabulary, more details, more information, a more challenging text overall. But again, it's an option for your students to take advantage of. And again, you'll find that in every article as well, being able to change the reading levels. And then over here, you'll notice we've got some other tools here. You can actually print out any of the articles. You can print the text out. Great for making notes and things like that. You can email. Here's that citation information for this article. You can increase and decrease the font, as we saw earlier. I really love this also. Maybe for whatever reason, maybe you're doing a Zoom meeting with some of your students or a Google Hangout with some of your students and you want to show them some text. You can easily increase that text to make sure they can see everything. Below that, we've got the Google Translate tool, and this will actually translate the text of this article into one of 80 different languages from that drop-down menu. And you can see here I've translated this into Bengali, and I really love this. It's just a neat way to talk to your students about different languages, different cultures around the world, other countries, what kind of language they speak, what does it look like. Maybe you know somebody in your community who speaks a language like this. You can kind of share that with your students. So I'm a big fan of that. And then it's a little globe right there. Again, here is the Google Classroom button, the Google Drive button, so you can add this directly to Google Drive. And there's your Microsoft Teams button as well. And then over here, we have a really great little related tab, and I love this because it just has related articles, and especially when you're talking about these I want to say anywhere from 4th grade to 7th grade, those students who are just really getting curious about the world around them, and they want to kind of dig deeper into different topics. This is a really great button to share with those students, just because it kind of unlocks a lot of different doors and different hallways that they can walk down. So I always appreciate that. I'm going to go back to the children's homepage just by clicking on the word children up here. And a couple of things I want to point out. This little collection of question and answer activities, these will there's 4 of them, and they change every Monday morning. Every Monday morning you get a fresh batch. But these are great if you've got just a few minutes here or there. And you're not quite ready to end the school day, but you're not quite ready to dig into a whole new topic. These are just some interesting questions and then answers that you can share with your students. Dig into the text to find the answers, that kind of thing. And then below this, we have our Explore Britannica collection, and we won't really have time to get into it too much today, but I love these resources. I want to make sure to point them out to you. And I think Jen and I were talking like further down the road, maybe in June sometime, we're going to be having a webinar just about these tools because they are so great. So check them out on your own. If you have any questions, of course, you can email me. I'm happy to walk you through any of them. So now we're going to take a look at the young adults section. So I'm going to click where it says Britannica Library, and that gets me back to my home page. And then from here, I can go into young adults. And here is my young adults homepage. You can see it's a little more dialed down. We don't quite need all those bells and whistles that we did for the younger users. As I scroll down, one thing I like to point out is that we have this nice Explore Biographies collection. So every day you get a new biography. Today, Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State. So if that's something that you want to highlight with your students, that's certainly something you can put into play. Below that, we have recommended U.S. primary source documents. So kind of the big heavy hitters, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Gettysburg Address, all these important pieces of American history, the text of those pieces. And then one thing I like to always point out is over here at the bottom of the young adults page, you can actually see all of the new and revised articles. We've added, you can see we've added a new article today about the 19th Amendment. So giving women the right to vote. So it's interesting topics popping up here, but I like that because it's an easy way just to kind of reassure your users that Britannica is a resource that is updating information and also adding in new information. So the currency, the accuracy of this this particular resource can easily be addressed just by showing the new and revised articles section, I think. Let's go ahead and run a search here in the young adults. I'm going to go ahead and plug in Abraham Lincoln. And here is my search results page. Again, we've got these tabs across the top here. And then over on the left-hand side, all the different types of content. You can see, again, we've got the articles, we've got the images, we've got videos. Here's the dictionary, though nothing pops up for Abe Lincoln, magazines. And now, because we are looking at the young adult section, we have access to primary source documents. So you can see we have a lot of pieces here written by Abraham Lincoln, and we have a couple of other pieces about Abraham Lincoln. But what I like to point out here, for example, we have Lincoln's first inaugural address. We have all of his State of the Union addresses, which I think is really interesting if you're talking about the Civil War. You can actually pull up the State of the Union addresses and discuss what were his concerns, what was he really thinking about, what were the things that he was addressing to the nation. So I think that that's a really interesting collection. We have his Emancipation Proclamation speech here as well. What I like here, for example, we have the text of the Emancipation Proclamation. But then we also have images. We have an image of the actual Emancipation Proclamation piece as well. So, you're talking to your students about this very important speech. You can actually pair the image of this text with the text as well. So there are a couple of different interesting ways you can do that with some of our important documents. Let's go into the article about Abraham Lincoln here. And you can see here now, we're looking at the young adults article. It's really a dialed down from what we saw earlier at the children's level article. The young adult articles and the general reference articles will have the same interface. The content of the articles will be different. Of course, general reference is going to have more intense or higher reading level text than the young adult level will. And actually, those level 3 articles, those general reference articles, are the Encyclopedia Britannica articles. So they are those are the same articles that academic libraries are using. So there's a lot of information in those articles. But beyond the content, they're pretty much, they operate the same way. A couple things I want to point out. We have the images and videos here. We've got related topics here. Again, I love those related topics, especially for those students at a certain age level who are just really curious and kind of want to dig into everything and find out about it. Over here, different ways of utilizing the content and the information in the article. You can, of course, share this article via email, Google Classroom, Google Drive, or Microsoft Teams. You can print out the text of this article. Here is the citation information for this article as well. There is the Google Translate tool for this article. And of course, the read aloud will be this little speaker. And again, we have the increase and decrease font buttons. And then one of my favorite features, I didn't show it in the children's, I'm not sure why, I must have just forgotten, but one of my favorite features that we have is in Britannica's library is something we have called the Quick Click Dictionary. And basically, I love this tool. As people are reading through the text, if they find a word that they are unfamiliar with, they don't really know what it means, they can double click on that word and the definition for that word will pop up. So for example, here's the word brink. If I don't know what that word means, I can double click on it and the definition for that word will pop up. I even have a little pronunciation key. There's a little speaker there that will pronounce the word out loud. And I have the Spanish translation tab here too. So if there's a Spanish translation for that word, I can find that as well. I love that, especially for the content areas. Students can just without skipping a beat, they can just read through that text, get the meaning of that word, put that word in the context, and then keep on reading. They don't need to stop and get a dictionary. They don't have to go to a different website. They don't have to come running asking, you for or a parent for what that word means. They can just be autonomous and get that word meaning on their own. And again, all you have to do is just double click on any word and then the definition will pop up. You don't have to highlight the word. It will highlight it when it pops up. And then you'll also notice we've got some words here that are in blue. That means that is a hyperlinked word, and that will take you to the corresponding article. So if you're reading through this article and you see, oh, there's a hyperlinked article about states' rights, I want to learn more about that, you can click on that and it will take you to the article. And the last thing I want to point out here, again, at the top, we have those numbers so you can change the reading level of your article. You can easily go up into level 3 to get more text. Or what I love here, if you're at level 2 or 3, you can actually click on the level 1, but it won't put you in that level 1 interface. So if you are working with older students, you've got, a 13 or 14-year-old student who needs that level 1 text but does not want to be in that level 1 interface, they can utilize this. They can still run their searches, they can look for all the different topics, and then they can just click on the number 1 when they get to the article from the children's level, or from the young adults level, or from the general reference level. So I love that that's built into place there to help those students, just help build their confidence, and that way they can feel confident to get the information that they need, regardless of the interface of the website. So I love that that's in place there. So that is the young adults interface, and I've got a few minutes left. I'm going to jump over to the general reference. And this general reference center, I think, is going to be great for your older high school students. If you've got, kind of advanced, any kind of advanced reader, and then also just for the family member, the parents at home, I think this is going to be really beneficial. I'll run a search here. Here's my search results page, as we have seen before. You can always tell what level you're at. You'll always see this little balloon around that 3. So if you forget what level you are, just look at the top and look where that dark balloon, what number that dark balloon is around. Let's go into the article about the atom. And you can see here the article, same kind of layout, same interface and everything. But as I mentioned earlier, the content is going to be much different. You can see this article about the atom is very long. You can see my little cursor over here is not even halfway down the page. This is a really long, very detailed article, which again is really nice if you've got students who see this and they're like, oh my gosh, I cannot make heads or tails of this, they can start down at level 1 if they want to, and then they can kind of start to scaffold that information and kind of build up to level 3 if they want, or just stay at level 2 or level 1 if they want. It's totally up to you and your students. But I love that that is built into place there. And everything else is in place. The quick click dictionary is here. All these tools are up here as well. On the Reference Center homepage, a couple of things I just want to point out to you. Here we have those Explore Britannica tools. We saw those at the elementary, and we saw that at the children's level, and they're also on the young adult level. And then below that, we have the new and updated articles, and they are chugging right along over there at Britannica. They've added quite a few articles in today already, so I'd like to point that out there as well. And then the one last thing I want to make sure to point out to you in the Browse section, I pointed this out earlier. I pointed out Britannica School, which you can also access, which if you look at it, you'll see it looks very, very similar. We also have Britannica Fundamentals. And Britannica Fundamentals is embedded automatically into Britannica School, but it's not in Britannica Library. But the good people at Badgerlink have pulled it out and made it available to everyone. So basically, there's just 5 different sections. There's a little read section. Students can choose one of these books to read it out loud themselves or quietly to themselves, or they can also have it read out loud to them if they want. Explore different biomes of the world, different images of different biomes from around the world. The play feature has some different fun little games. We have math and language arts. And then the create section, students can come in here and kind of illustrate maybe a vocabulary word that I'm on a trackpad. I apologize for this quote unquote art. They can illustrate a vocabulary word. Maybe they have written a story that they want to illustrate, or they have a character that they really think is funny that they want to illustrate. They can do that over here on this pad. There's even a little spray paint can, which is kind of interesting. And then when they're done, they can actually go over here to the printer icon. And if they want to print it out, they can, or they can save it as a PDF or to their Google Drive too. So it's kind of a neat way to keep track of, especially your younger students' skills and how they develop over the course of the year. So that is Britannica Library for our homeschooling parents. If you have any questions for me about where to find any of these resources, how to access them, how to use them, just please don't hesitate to email me. I'm jkeating@eb.com. I'm happy to reach out for you. I've got we've got some graphic organizers and things I can point you to as well. If you have any questions about that, let me know. I'm happy to help out.